and it was 3.
But she's been engaged 5 times.
I didn't know that she didn't marry A-Rod.
The first guy she married was this guy named Ano. He was like in 1997. He was like a waiter.
So she's been married 3 times.
Married 3 times.
Okay, let me take this out. There's a big bump in the middle of it.
Ben being number 3.
Hello, everybody.
We were talking about J-Lo.
We were having a debate, like, not a debate, but why were J-Lo and Ben Affleck on again, off again, on again, off again?
Right.
The only thing I can assume is it has something to do with maybe his sobriety. I don't want to mess with my hair the whole time.
I thought that, I think that, hey, let it go, put first in the chat. You are first.
Got it.
I really honestly think that after everything, that Ben Affleck is the only one that could left that'll put up with her bullshit.
I tend to agree.
I mean,
I tend to agree.
That's what I think. Of course, I don't know, but...
hey, Rachel Hughes, how are you? And I think that he used to cheat on Madonna when he dated her.
Who?
A-Rod.
Oh, well, she didn't marry A-Rod, though.
No, but what I'm saying is...
I got you. Yeah.
All he did was cheat.
But
no, they got married.
Yeah, Ben Affleck and J-Lo got married.
And I personally think that it has something to do with the fact that Jennifer Garner was like, let me make this real clear. You either keep your shit straight, get sober, or you can take a walk. And he went, okay.
I think Jennifer Garner said, what's in your wallet? It's a freaking can of beer.
It's apparently like a bad coke habit. When he goes in, he goes all in. He's a drunk. The other thing was, did y'all hear that Adam Levine cheated on his wife and she released all of the texts of the chats that she took?
She put all the texts.
I haven't seen them. Harry says she hasn't. Happy Friday. She hasn't. I haven't seen them yet. But Jacqueline Glenn did the thing again where she read them and sang to it like she did when Social Repose.
Which I still haven't heard. How can I not know?
It's cute. It's got the only thing that bothers about me is that her shirt has like an upside down cross.
Oh.
And then she sings with it, and it's like, I mean, that's her thing. But she's
like
an atheist.
Like the raunchy text that they said back and forth.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I gotta listen to that.
This is gonna surprise you, but we didn't get our stuff together enough to figure out how to share the screen so that we can review that Cinnamon Toast Ken.
This Girl's Journey is here. Hey,
This Girl's Journey, but he's off tomorrow, so we're going to do it. Still haven't watched it. He still hasn't watched it.
Hey, Trash Panda.
We will review it
Trash
tomorrow.
Panda, are you causing trouble?
Hey, Southern Tea. J-Lo and Ben got married.
Nothing happened with them. They got married. Yeah.
And then they were thinking about doing in vitro, and I think she's like 52, isn't she? I mean, I guess you can do it, but
if money's not an object,
Kathleen, how
face it, if money wasn't an object, we'd probably have 3 by now.
Yeah. The thing that bums you out the most is like, when we were asking him about it, the one time I was like 41 at the time, and they won't put twins in if you're over 40. So anyway.
I mean, I was saying to Mandi today, we were just riding down. We were like, I did like a 12-hour day, 13-hour day today. So I went like 4 in the morning till 4:15 at night. It was a long day. So I got home and I changed real quick, and we went and got some groceries and got some stuff that we need first of the month. So I was just thinking about it, and I just said to Mandi, our child would be beautiful. Aww. We'd have an incredible child. I said that.
You did say that, and
I think about that from time to time. And what did you say?
Yes, it would.
You said if it is meant to be, it'll happen.
Hey, Violet. What started is so we were in line. There's a place here called Chicken Salad Chick. It sells chicken salad and little like cute sandwiches and stuff. It's was founded by a girl. It's staffed with, there's guys too, but real cute color shirts, and they wear jeans. It's just real cute.
The whole theme of the stuff on the wall is like, it's okay to take your, to eat here if you're a guy and all that. It's like.
The colors are just really cute.
The sandwiches are good.
It says, have you ever wanted to hug a place? Well, this is how I feel about Chicken Salad Chick. So anyway, a lot of times when girls are going out to, a girl date out to have lunch with your girlfriends, they go there. Anyway, so we were in line for that, and this this group of people walked by, and one was a portly country boy with a cowboy hat. And when he walked out, Sean, I don't think you saw that part. He was holding the baby, and he was like looking to make sure nobody was leaving the drive-thru. I mean, it was really cool. And he had this little tiny baby. I would assume it was a boy. I don't know. But he was holding it like, and he was like kissing it the whole to the car. And it was their, you could tell it was their first. The lady was there.
Yeah, the guy and
big old country boy.
Yeah, big old like kind of a redneck guy, you know, with like bald on top with the beard here, and he just had cowboy hat, yeah, and just had his little baby, and he loved it. When you could tell that he loved his child, you know. It's
when he walked by the drive-thru, like I said, he was like this, and he looked both ways. It was so cute.
And you could tell who the mama was because she was in front, like looked like she was like, yeah, it's your turn. You take, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there would have been much of a debate. He looked pretty attached.
He looked pretty attached, but yeah, she was okay with that.
It was very cool. Hey, T-Bird.
So I'm reading the chat a little bit. I guess someone got invited to an OnlyFans. Cinnamon Toast got invited to it, and
all I can say is, who's going to pay for the therapy?
All I can say is...
I mean, you got Takedown Man who was traumatized. Stacy Little's nephew was super traumatized by this.
I wish Stacy Little would come back. I enjoyed listening to her.
I have that clip where she goes, and my nephew went on and he didn't know, and he saw truthfully Trisha's right here, but really you got to go like this.
Yeah.
And he goes, he was never the same. He had substance abuse and had to...
substance
Sean goes,
abuse.
now that is funny.
It was funny. Stacy Little, we ran into Stacy Little because she was acting. She said that she was in the Army and that she was a sergeant major, and she couldn't get out of the Army because the president wouldn't
Trump
let her retire.
wouldn't let her.
And that I was her soldier, that I was in her command.
And if you know anything about the structure of the Army, a captain is never...
And she called me Sean Smith, my soldier.
Captain Tom Smith.
Tom Smith and Sean Smith. I was amused. I was tickled to death.
We did. It was one of the first times someone had said, did you see he did that? She never got many views, but we rolled at it. And then I was like, you got to watch this part. And
she's the wacko. Yeah.
He had to have therapy. And he's addicted to substances all because he saw those tatas.
Apparently it was like North Carolina Diamond she went by or something. Apparently she's now a doctor.
Carolina Diamond.
Yeah. So if you type like Carolina Diamond into your like search thing, it'll come up.
Now look, guys. So they're a 5-minute stream this morning in the dark to show no electricity except for the 1 minute when the light was on. Well, here's the thing. I don't think that, I mean, there was 35 miles per hour winds in Jacksonville.
When you asked me what the weather was like, I was literally talking to one of my coworkers named Carol, whose daughter was in Savannah, close to where it hit. Tybee Island, it was close to Tybee.
Yeah.
And we were discussing, what the weather was like there. So that's actually where, Charleston, South Carolina, up to, or down to Savannah, Georgia, was actually where it pushed in, which is probably 200 miles, 150 to 200 miles from where that is.
Wow. Tell me you're kidding, Reese's. Are you joking about the needs help with groceries? I hope you're joking about that. We need help with groceries, and we don't even have no. But I don't know. Dragonaut, who's Dragonaut? He went into the chat too, and she didn't believe that he's a scientist.
Dragonaut, one of the unit that I was in, you remember in Kansas, the Dreadnoughts? 234 Armor, we were the Dreadnoughts. That's what we were called.
She and Sid can eat canned dog food. Hey, you know what? It'll keep you alive. Speaking of dog food.
Yes, let's check out this dog food because Sawyer is a little chubby.
There you go.
He's a little chubby. Hey, Sawyer.
And he doesn't, we talked about, I'm not going to let him free feed anymore because the cats eat his food. He doesn't eat it, and then he starts he'll beg from us to try to make
He's really getting aggressive when he begs.
Yeah. The other day, remember when he liked that plant-based beef jerky? He really, really liked it. So this was at PetSmart. It's Spring and Sprout plant-based meals. It's got cage-free egg and stuff like that. I mean, stuff that
it's a salad for dogs.
If we were eating it and he begged for it and we gave him some, he would eat the heck out of it. But you put it in a dog bowl and he like won't. So you know what? It's gonna go on a plate. I'm gonna put it on a little plate for him. He did finally eat it, but I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I've bought him Wilderness. I've bought him everything. So, but he got a haircut. If he'll let me pick him up.
Yeah,
Come here,
you
Soy
want
Brown.
to, Soy Brown, come here. Come show everybody your haircut.
Come here. Come
Yeah, he's very arrogant a little bit.
You
Now
don't
that he's
have
got
to
his
bring a
haircut
toy.
because
Come here.
he knows he's gorgeous.
Come here.
So
He's gonna be a butthead. He'll be.
I'm in Central Florida and we have had the worst tropical storms. But we got lucky in this part.
Hey, stitching girl.
Hey, stitching girl, come here, you.
He's like, no.
He knows he's
He's lately, and I don't know
Come
if
here.
it's the.
Come here, let me have your toy. See, he's gonna bring me his toy. He brings it to Daddy. He brings it to Daddy.
He won't bring it to me.
Come here.
He took my phone where my chat was on. Is your house okay, Gigi? That's what I'm trying to catch up with.
Here,
But he
babe.
took my phone. Well, his phone. Hold him up.
Look at Soy Brown got a haircut. Soy Brown. Soy Brown, look at
He's a handsome little.
Soy Brown.
And we took a direct hit. I'm in Southwest Florida.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. He's too smart for her. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know who that is. Dragonaut. It's a scientist?
Dragonaut.
Dragonaut.
Yeah.
Hey, Wolf. How are you?
So, what I heard about the storm, and can you corroborate this, was, and I lived in North Carolina for a while, obviously, y'all know, and learned a lot about the beaches and tide surge and all that. They said there was a reverse surge with this storm, meaning, you know, when you have a storm or a hurricane or whatever, you're afraid of the storm surge. I sound like, you
No.
know, like when the tide comes in, it comes way in with the wind.
Well,
So
yeah.
what we heard was there was a very strong reverse tide out, and like in Tampa Bay, like the bay was empty.
That would be interesting to see, though dangerous, I know, because of tsunamis potential.
yeah.
But I've never seen a wave go back out.
It's just like
Is
when
it-
you live in the intercoastal, when the
Oh, wow.
when the tide comes up, it's a current going one way, and then when they're in low tide, when the tide's going out, there's a current going the other way.
Okay.
So if you could imagine
I'm
like a
gonna watch
reverse
that.
surge where it's just rushing out.
There was
The Gulf emptied.
How does that
oh my
happen?
gosh! So it was like that's gotta
and then it came back up?
something like that. I mean, was it low enough? Like because the fish got to go somewhere. You know, they got.
But I bet they went out and then came back, right?
I hope so because that could really wreck a lot of the ecology.
Hey, Arlene, how are you?
Hey, Arlene.
No, we just got started. Randy's live, and she opened with Gangster's Paradise in honor of Coolio.
Yeah.
I do
Randy was
remember
funny.
that song.
Randy was funny because she was talking about a car that she had, and whenever
A
Gangster-
Grand Am or something.
Yeah, Grand Am. Did everybody that was a teenager in the 80s, didn't we all have Grand Ams at one point?
She said she would bump it all the way.
Yeah, Pontiac
Can you
Grand
imagine
Am, boy.
Randy?
Yep, remember those. Yep.
So,
Anyway.
and then I guess he died of cardiac arrest or whatever. He wasn't a big partier though, was he?
I don't know. 59 years old is way too young just to have cardiac arrest naturally.
Speaking of people in their 50s, how old are you tomorrow?
I'm 53 tomorrow, guys.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me, October
53?
1st. 53.
I thought I knew that, but I thought she's always saying you're almost 54 or something. I was like, no, he's 53.
When is that?
I don't know.
1969. I was
So
born.
I bought him. I've had this little tiny. Remember when he said he liked strawberry cake the other day? Well, Karen and Loretta, I was asking them how to bake one, but I nixed that. So I got a little one at Walmart and I put it in the fruit drawer and put oranges over it. And then I ate all the oranges, so it was sitting there, but he still hadn't seen it. So anyway,
Thank you, Trash Panda.
we put the candles in it with his sushi. And
Wow, let it go. A
had a
Camaro
little-
SS. My dad had one of those. He had
did?
he had a 68. I was born in 69. And I remember we lived in upstate New York in the 70s.
Oh my gosh.
I remember him driving that around.
Good Trash Panda.
Because any of y'all that are from that area, like upstate New York, I lived in the Schenectady area across the Mohawk River in Scotia when I was a little boy.
That is so
Little
cool. Rachel's, there's a video on TikTok that shows someone sitting in the flooded road and an alligator coming at him. Oh my gosh. Remember when there was one in the living room?
Yes, I do remember. I saw footage of like
Thank you, guys.
a shark. It was like swimming in a parking lot.
That's
He's had the fin going and everything.
You do an awesome strawberry
Thank you
cake.
guys. I see the happy birthdays.
I would love to have that Southern tea. I was going to, and I was texting with Loretta and Karen because they had an old school strawberry cake box made, but you had to like chop up strawberries and put it in there and stuff. And I went, yeah,
Karen could do that.
I was like,
First
Karen,
of all,
can you
Karen
get one
would grow.
to me?
She'd go and pick her strawberries that she'd been growing.
Yeah, her strawberries.
And mix in flour from
a 1992 Mustang GT. I had a 1990
Wow.
Mustang when I turned 16, but it wasn't a GT or anything.
So the first car my dad
Very
gave
nice.
me to drive on my own.
I know,
My dad got a company car. He was working for General Electric, and so I got a Oldsmobile Delta 88. Loved it. It was like
Is that
it was
the
like
one you did landscaping with?
No, that was Buick Skylark. But the Delta 88, I'd love to have that car now.
Yum.
Like a
Hey,
19,
Colleen.
like 82 Oldsmobile Delta 88 with a big old engine in the front, and yeah, it had just the seats all the way across.
You had your first. That's the one that your dad taught you the lesson when it broke down.
No, the one that broke down was the Buick Skylark. I blew the head gasket and left it on the side of the road.
Yeah, and then what'd your dad do?
He sold it to the guy who towed it away or something like
And
that.
so the next day, Sean was like, "I need to get my car," and he goes, "It's gone." And he goes,
sold it.
He goes, "But it's my car," and he goes, "No."
Nope, I sold it. You didn't
So
want to take care of it. You
he
left it on the
learned
side of the
that
road.
was a
so
hard lesson. So he
I
learned.
was like, thanks, Pop.
All of those lessons that he taught you, you still remember.
The first car
You
I
look so
bought.
tired.
I'm
Poor-
tired, but we're
poor
gonna
Sean.
rock it tonight. The very first car I bought was when I got back from basic training. I was 19, and I bought it was a 1985 Toyota Celica, a red one.
Did Jessica have a car that you could see to the ground?
Yeah.
That's Chris was telling me that you
Yeah.
would go to Valdosta, right?
She had a Datsun B210, and where the gear shift was, the rubber had, like, so when you pull the rubber away from the gear shift, you can literally see the gears and then the ground underneath it.
I thought that was funny. He said she brought it back and forth from there, and it ran like.
It didn't have very good brakes either, so it was kind of like Fred Flintstone trying to stop the car. Like,
I can't imagine seeing the floor, but I guess when you think about it, it's just a machine. If there's a hole, you see the ground.
yeah, I mean,
You know
back
what I
then
mean?
cars were built different.
So we did the no, we're not going to do a birthday date. So, okay, y'all know we were doing the wedding tomorrow. I'm still going to make Sean make the final call tomorrow when he gets some sleep.
Yeah.
But it's looking like we may not go, and because it's his only day off. So I think we'll check in with him when he's rested tomorrow.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Because I just had anxiety about it. Is it the
No.
right thing to do or whatever?
You get some sleep and you make that
Yep.
decision. So, but what's funny is I made him laugh, and I wasn't even trying to be a bitch, but I said, "So is this like a legit reception with like dancing and stuff, or is it like a fellowship hall with cold barbecue?" And he laughed, and I
was like,
I said,
no.
"I'm not trying to be a bitch, but that's going to help decide whether."
Yeah, I mean, I reminded her that it was a coworker and that,
Just to put an end to it, did he get his dog tags? Absolutely not. She didn't mail his dog tags back. That never happened.
What?
She
Oh,
said
so I'm
she
supposed
mailed
to
your
get
dog
dog
tags
tags?
to your parents.
This
No.
is-
But here's the thing about dog tags. Incredibly disrespectful what she did, and she deserves everything people give to her. Dog tags themselves, though, a lot of times, like my son's got a couple of pairs. You can order other pairs, especially if you lose them.
Did he give you a set of them? Not yet.
Not yet. But I'm glad what so this is I'm such an ID card chaser. I was gonna get a tattoo at one time with 2 dog tags, one with my son's thing and then the other one with, well, whatever, we'll leave that. But now I can turn it into Sean's.
Yeah.
Thank God I didn't get it
I'm
before.
the biggest Atlanta Falcons fan.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I wanted to get I don't have any more room on my arms, but just a couple of dog tags hanging off, and then
See this one? Remember this one?
you guys look how big it is.
Look at this. Look
You
at this
can-
cover up. Yep.
There's somewhere that you can see in our videos we did a before and after, and what's funny is, hold on, let me fix it for you. What's funny is, and I'm not gonna pull it down because it's whatever, but I had one too. We had matching mine ex and his ex, and we were
So like when we were about to meet up, it's like, there's something that I got to tell you, because
Very
you
neat.
don't want to be like with somebody and looking up at them and they
Keep
have
looking
their
at-
their ex, tattooed across their chest or whatever. And so it was like, yeah, before
Sorry.
before we'd seen each other, without clothes on or whatever, however you want to say it. Naked,
and
butt
afraid.
naked. I said, well, I have a tattoo, and she was, does it look like this one? And she pulled that, and it was,
But
she
let
had
me
the
tell you
same one.
something. His
She had
was
one
this,
of hers.
His letters were like this tall. I said, ooh, she got you good. And I was like,
Tandy says I walk in and Sean's pulling a titty out. Hey.
Yeah, so he was either going to do the Georgia symbol or the Falcons.
Both of my titties point the right way, though.
But it's funny because when the escrow came, when we sold my house from before, and I don't even know what escrow is. That shows you how bad I am with adulting, but I know escrow came back after we sold the house. And so Sean and we went and did the cover-ups.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was like, they look way better than I would have thought. That's a good tattoo.
This one?
Yeah.
I mean, and I got it in Austin, I got it in Texas, and I showed him what I wanted, and he was my tattoo artist was good. He was a Texas, just regular old dude. He was like, Falcons fan, okay, right on. And so he was working on it. He was calling his, the other artists over and going, look at this. He's he's an Atlanta Falcons fan, and they were looking at it, right? That's good work, and it is a good tattoo.
And it was funny because when they were covering mine up, and she's like, well, what else would you want it to say? And I was like, Sean, duh. And they're like, I don't think we can turn the words into whatever. But because time, as it always does, when I first got that name, I was a different shape. Well, between losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, the letters were only like that big because
mine is like a neon
and
sign.
it was like cursive, and I was like, "Oh, she got you."
I
good.
mean, if you look close at it, that tattoo is
of
black, but you can still see under the black. You can't see the name, but you can kind of tell where they couldn't.
Very cool. So he said there was going to be one little spot.
Yeah, he said there's going to be
it
a
won't
spot
look right
where
unless
you. And but it was a fabulous cover up.
Southern T has her dad's dog tags. And her Viola's first car was in 1986 Isuzu Impulse 5-speed.
Yeah, and that was a nice car. I mean, if you had an Isuzu Impulse in 1986, that was a pretty cool ride to be driving around him.
What's the one we saw in the parking lot today where his cars were?
Oh, it was those little TSR Triumphs, those little I think they're British cars. And it had been years since I'd seen one. This one was in pretty good shape, but he had the top down and he had left the keys in the ignition. So it was just sitting there in the parking lot with keys in the ignition and the top down.
Yeah, nobody was even giving it a second. Like, you know what? I always think of this while we're live and I don't say it, and then you're so good about saying it. You have really pretty eyes. And I've told you that. But here's the thing. I've never, ever liked a guy's eyes. Like, it's never been a thing.
Really?
But yours are really pretty.
Thank you.
See, I'm not as poetic as he is. I can just go, hey, dude, I really like your eyes, and it means just as much was when he said that I'm just not as good at it as
when
you are.
When I was in high school, if we ever bust out old pictures, I was pretty skinny. I was 6'4", and by the time I was in 10th grade, I was that tall, but I was probably about 170 pounds. I was really skinny. So even though I was considered a cute guy, I was super skinny, but I guess I had the eyes going for me. But yeah, I was gangly away from being but studly, the kid that's walking around and he's just all skin and bones, that was me in high school. When I went to the Army, I put on 35 pounds or came back from the Army, and that was...
then you were all... That was when the neighbor wanted you.
Then my game was tight after that.
That was when the neighbor wanted you.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into it. A full-grown ass, someone's mother's was hit
friend.
in the sauce, and she goes, take me home.
I was 19. She was 45, so...
And then what was the response of your dad?
Oh, so...
No, you don't have to tell the whole thing, but... He said, what do you say? You're not the only one or something like that.
So what happened was, so I was taking her home, meaning driving her home. I lived in the same subdivision as this lady. We were driving her Lincoln Mark 7, another nice car. This was 1989, and 19. and I'm driving her back, and she's like in the
very
passenger
nice.
seat, and she's rubbing all over me and all that. So when I was scared to death. 19-year-old kid, I got some 45-year-old MILF. I was just like, oh my God, I didn't know what to do. And
He's like, I knew what I wanted to do.
I know, but it's like
it's a no-no.
It's just like, I didn't know what to do.
It's like a Desperate Housewives meets the country club kind of thing.
And
okay.
So we decided that it would, what's the term?
Mrs. Robinson.
We just decided the valor way to do this is just not to do anything. So she lived about a mile when we were in the subdivision. She was pretty hammered, but she started to sober up. So we drove to my house, to my parents' house actually. And, when you drive the car around the cul-de-sac, the headlights went onto my parents' room. So my mom got up and, thank you, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you. You can fit.
You can pin that. So my mom got up, she looked out the window right when this lady got out of her car, came over to the driver's side. I was getting out and kissed me. So we had this moment again. And then I walked inside and I sat down and I turned on the TV in the living room. It wasn't too late. It was about midnight maybe. And my mom comes because there was a balcony that overlooked the living room. And so she comes to the balcony and she goes, "What was that?" And I was like, "Don't ask." And she goes, "Okay." And she went back to her room. And then it was a couple days later when my dad came up and was like, "So I heard you had like a little incident when she said her name." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, she's all over the place at the country club.
But then when the kid called, that other guy called you.
Yeah, another one of my friends called me that morning. Remember when you had a phone in your bedroom and
the cord went all the way around the house?
And he called me and he was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I heard you took such and such." And apparently it had happened to him.
Because he said, "Because I did it."
It's happened to me. And I said, "What'd you do?" He goes, I was too scared to do it. I was like, "Me too."
That was you told me that story in the hot tub out the Crown Plaza.
Really?
Yeah, I still remember when you told me that.
And what happened in the Crown Plaza hot tub?
Well, Sean was too nervous. I said, "Nobody's going to know." And he was like, "They're everywhere." And I said, "They're going to think I'm just..." Anyway, it was fun. It was an outside hot tub. There was only like one other couple and they were in the pool or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, "Look, I was a freak with you."
Yeah.
I still am, but I was like...
And every time she would say something, I'd go, "You want to do what?" She'd tell me, I'd go, "You're amazing."
It was like, it's not like, and I've not had my laps around the track, but it was like, I just haven't.
Let me tell you, if coming from out of what I had just been through, even if we didn't end up forever, even if we were just a hookup or, just an affair for a little while, my ego was healed.
Yeah.
It really was. It was like, wow, this gorgeous woman is just...
Yeah.
Wants me,
like,
and
yep.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So back to the car real quick, and then we'll read the. Colleen had a '69 Ford Boss 302. I don't know what that is.
That's nice.
Trash Panda had a '98 Mustang Cobra. That's nice.
That's nice. Where you bougie?
I know. We already did the Impulse. And then Amanda Anderson, "Thank you for your service, Sean. I grew up as an Army brat, spent middle school at Fort Campbell, Kentucky in the 90s. Much respect to our veterans."
101st Airborne, Fort Campbell.
That's so.
Rock-a-song.
I like to make sure like we always acknowledge them. But that story, yes, I was like, "Oh my gosh, go Sean." And I was like, and I said, "And you didn't?" And he was like, No. And I was like trying to think, like, you can't reverse the situation and think, well, because a girl, like, let's say I was 19 and it was someone's dad. You know what I mean? Like, then it becomes
Dad's
creepy.
best friend.
Then it becomes creepy.
Yeah, it's a horrible double standard. It's a bad double standard. And I remember that.
Okay,
because I had known this woman. Like I said, it was my best friend's mom's best friend since I was like 14.
Was she married? Not at that time?
Not at that time. I'm trying to remember.
So she must have gotten the house in the divorce.
Yes, she was married. She was married. So
well, that might be why you didn't.
Well, but I didn't really know this guy. So what had happened was my best friend, when his mother had gone through a divorce, her friend, this lady, said, "Well, you and my friend Rich, you guys can come live with us." And, and in that subdivision that I showed you, right, you can live here until you get on your feet, rent free. Your friends do that,
Yeah.
Bring your teenage son and you can live here with us. And so they did live there for a while, and then they got their own apartment. And then, but, I was always over there or over at their place because, it was her friend. So,
right.
Yeah.
What had happened?
What had happened was...
Yeah. See, these are kind of sometimes the stories we think about telling, like, I wish you could do memberships and then just not, like, charge, like, 49 cents or something, or nothing.
Yeah.
And then, but at least then, stories like that would be kind of interesting to tell, or, like, the geography teacher talking about double standards. But it is, I didn't do the whole thing. My geography teacher, I was 16.
I didn't do the whole thing, but you would have.
I was 16 and he was the football coach, but he was also the geography teacher. Totally inappropriate on his part. We did a Google search. He's not working anymore, is he?
Well, he's like 70 now, isn't
Something like that, yeah. And so he used to compliment. Fire. I know. We got neighbors that are straight up having a bonfire in their front yard.
Bonfire party right across the street in the neighborhood.
So he was always like with another coach. He's like, doesn't she have pretty eyes? And always liked older guys. So after class one day, I sure did. We kissed. That was it. That's all that happened. Never spoke of it again.
But didn't you say was talking to another teacher and talking about how pretty you were?
Yeah, that's when it started. What actually made him mad was shortly thereafter. I must have been 15 then. Shortly thereafter, I started dating my first boyfriend, and he got mad.
Yeah, what is
he wasn't my he wasn't my teacher anymore. But when he would see me with this guy in the hallway, and this guy, ladies, have you ever had someone that you let treat you like total dog shit, and you?
I get so mad when she talks about this boyfriend.
And he's. Whatever, but he ends up treating you like shit, and anyway, it's whatever. But the coach would see him and he would give me the dirtiest looks.
He probably knew this guy was a creep, even though this teacher's a creep too,
I was no longer his student or whatever. So the other day we just, we Google searched him. He's super old and he finally retired. But see, that stuff happens. It still happens, obviously.
All the time.
But it happened then, and I didn't even see it as, I didn't think about reporting it. I thought, it was consensual, but you can't consensually kiss a teacher when you're in high school.
I mean, that's true.
So anyways, that was that
And
story.
then you always hear the stories, when you've got this older male teacher messing around with, a younger girl. It's awful and disgusting and all that. But then when you flip it around, it's a double standard. It's like, if it's a female teacher messing around with this boy, the boy is like the most popular kid in school.
But it's always the hot girls. These teachers are hot. Yeah, they get caught with these boys.
Yeah, anyway, it's a horrible double standard.
It is. It's very
bad. It's sexist double standard.
I just totally, though, wasn't traumatized by it. I don't look at it as something that was like fabulous. It's weird.
But sometimes when she and I talk about, our adolescence or high school, and Mandi will always say, because, through her alcoholism, like when in her drug abuse, when she's in therapy, and, the therapist is always looking for trauma, or specifically sexual trauma that happens. And, and Mandi was always like, with her therapist, that, there wasn't any. And, I had a good upbringing and this and that. And, there wasn't any of that trauma in my life. But when I hear the way her boyfriend treated her, she's very candid about it. We get in deep conversation. I was like, that was abuse.
Yeah,
that was abuse.
Yeah.
And you might not, because of where you were or how you thought about things, not thought that it was abusive, or that that there was nothing wrong with it. But really, someone that hadn't been through that, if you tell that story, you it wasn't right how he treated you, and it could have created something that that came.
I've had therapists recommend to do EMDR therapy. Rebel T, are you lost? Are you coming to say hi? I've heard that to do that EMDR or what is it, brain spotting therapy?
Yeah.
Something
EMDR
like that.
is like rapid eye movement, isn't it?
But it heals trauma. But once you get into it, and some people in here probably have done it, you got to be committed to the entire recovery. Like you've got to go weekly, you've got to bring it up and do whatever. And I'm all about it, but I just haven't done it about that yet because I never saw the stuff that happened as anything other than just young love. But it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you know Mandi, or I don't know if you've told any of your friends, here about that. It's pretty.
I don't think I've told anybody about that.
And I try to look at it objectively too, because I'm her partner and I love her, and when I think about it, just trying to be without emotion, just kind of objectively. No, that was pretty abusive. Bad. It was abusive what he put her through.
And his mother protected him.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
His mother protected him. My first drink I ever took was at their house. They were allowed to drink at the house, and I wasn't allowed to drink. And that was the first time I ever got drunk, was there, because they allowed that to happen or whatever. And then the stuff that happened, while drinking, that I thought, well, it's just the thing. Night, Rachel. Have a good night. Anyway, I might delve into it.
The thing that would make me upset was the way he treated you in the relationship, not the physical stuff, but just the way he treated you, in the relationship, the way he just kind of.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah. It
was pretty bad. And then after, the honest to God truth is he dumped me flat on my face when he went to college. But the interesting thing about once I was out of the relationship and I was still in high school, it was my senior year or whatever, or no, junior year, and people were we would see you in the hallway with him and we would be why is she with him? And it wasn't just the way he looked, although he wasn't. She was it was his whole demeanor. And then I found out he had had another girl, and I said, oh, well, that, they didn't, it was crazy.
Yeah. And anyway, so there, and so when we talk about our lives and growing up, and she brings that up, I stopped it one time and I said, that's not right. That it was awful in the way, especially to a young, and he's young too. Let's keep it. It's not like he was this older person, but still, you guys think about the relationships that y'all had, or that y'all were in high school, or when you were, your mind was developing, in your adolescence, and it's trauma. It's a trauma for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me, someone filled me in. It said about Letiti and her psychiatrist. I got hit on by so many dudes I babysat for. I never had that happen, but I've heard that it does. What did she really? I heard some of it. Did she legit have an inappropriate relationship, or was it just I don't know. I haven't caught up on it, so I don't know. I just heard something about Dr. Marshall. What's his name? Dr. Marshall. Someone may be able to fill us in. I'm not positive, but I'm just curious because I didn't see the whole thing.
I didn't watch that, but there was some words flying around about how it was fairly obvious that this doctor in his life, when you listen to whatever Moonbear was reading, you could tell she was reading something that information she got from somewhere, that it appeared that it seemed like that this person had some dementia, maybe
cognitive decline, which doesn't make an excuse.
It doesn't make an excuse, but it sounds like that's where he was heading and this was by his wife's explanation.
So I think she was involved with him and he was obsessed. His wife is divorcing him. Now I did see that the wife is divorcing him, and I used to think it was incredibly. He was fascinated with Leticia.
Wow.
He used to He would say that the ones that she recorded, that he was fascinated with her. And most of the time you hear her talking, at least, and I'm not brilliant by any means, but you hear her misuse her words. You hear her talk like she's the smartest one of anything, and she's really not that intelligent.
No.
I mean, I don't know how, like IQ wise, but you can always tell, because it happens with somebody else, when someone misuses the words where they put them in, that they've heard the words, but they don't really know how they apply.
It's very obvious that, and we talked about this, that somewhere in her life, someone hurt her.
Yeah.
Someone traumatized her. But I thought that she was very like wanted to be in control of everything, like manically in control. She didn't want to open up or do anything. If you listen to her, she wanted to control every facet of everything that was going on in her life, and I think that contributed to the way that she was. And she didn't have complete control or complete. The outcome wasn't completely the way she wanted it. She would just pick it apart.
So from the beginning, I thought he was early stage Alzheimer's. Stitching says that doctor screwed her up more. What I heard, because I was getting ready when I was listening to what Moon Bear was reading, it almost sounded like Lewy body dementia, and I'm not at all like a pro, but with Lewy body, you're part of it is, that's what actually Robin Williams they say that he had that, but it was early stages. Everything, sometimes some of the way it manifests is everything sexual. You think everybody wants you.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
So you're saying that this man felt like this too?
Yeah, like you. Yeah. You think that everybody is doing everybody. This is just one way it can manifest. That everyone's doing everyone. Everyone wants to do you. Everything.
And it's a natural thing.
Perverse.
It's just a natural course of things.
And perverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't know the extent of how much they actually met with each other. I know that when she said that they weren't going to see each other anymore for therapy, and then he called her. Something like that. Then he called her. Yeah, and then they started doing sessions again or something, but they weren't sessions. They were just conversations. He would say, "You're fascinating." He wanted to know. And I thought, I mean, he's got a PhD in psychology. How can he be that fascinating? Unless there was a weird obsession.
I mean, I'm telling you, my therapist was really was interested in my ex-wife. I mean, like, to the point where I was like, you're my therapist. Yeah. We've talked about that before. I mean, it happens when you have people that are out there, they're mentally ill, or they have, I mean, one of the things, my mother's a therapist, your father is a therapist, is you have to be very, very careful of secondary gain. Like, you're in this business and you're in this professions because you did the work to study, concepts and how to give therapy. So you like the work. It's interesting work. You gotta like it to do well at it. But you have to make sure that your clients aren't giving you, that you can stay completely professional and objective and not get secondary gain from clients.
You have to, though.
Yeah. But some people just cross that line,
It says he had to see her in the park. Letitia didn't agree. His wife wouldn't allow her on the premises. She got a court order. Wow. And this girl's journey says that agrees that she acted with the little baby noises when she would do like that poo poo in the potty. Remember when she would resort like, no, I'm not going to do it. No, almost like a weird child. Same with ministers and preachers. Yeah. Okay, my understanding is, hey Karen.
Hey Karen.
A counselor can only date a client after they haven't been a client for something like 10 years. It's a long time. Someone else may know, depending on the state. I think it's 10 years. I don't think they should ever be able to date a client.
Yeah, I mean,
I think what's his name was, I'm seeing his therapist.
Really?
For sure.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like when I went to a group session, I'm like, oh, huh. I'm gonna wait in the car.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got it. I'm understanding. I'll wait in the car.
Yeah.
So
you're cheating everywhere you go, aren't you?
But like and that, I don't think that even for one session, I don't think an individual counselor should ever have the spouse come in and do any sort. I think you should have a therapist, they should have a therapist, and then you have a marriage therapist. That's just my own opinion. Other people may be different, but that's what I think. Can you imagine, and I'm not saying we're like on top of the world. Can you imagine if we went to therapy, which everybody can benefit from?
Everybody can. I mean,
nobody
believe that.
cannot.
I believe that.
They would be like, they can help you with anything. And I would be like, can't
Hey,
think
Lisa.
of an issue except, oh, well, he does. No. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's perfect by any means. He doesn't think I'm perfect. But I can't think of anything like tonight, he's super tired. And he was like, I'm sorry. I know I'm like, no, I feel bad that you're sleepy. But I was
tired, but I was super excited to have time with
I
her.
said,
I'm
no.
not going to miss out on this time.
Right.
I'm going to drink a Red Bull. I'm going to do whatever it takes to have, because we can sleep in the morning.
Yeah.
And I want to take advantage of the evening, so.
I went to therapy together. I've heard, yeah. My dad, when he does marriage therapy, if they're yelling at each other and won't stop, he says there's nothing he can do to help them.
We got fired from our therapist. We were going to a therapy, and she retired. Yeah. She blamed it on her thyroid problem because she was an older woman. Our therapist was an older black woman, and she's very traditional. And
Karen.
And so we were going to that, and she would frickin' start acting the fool, and she would just she was trying to be very traditional and trying to center, and then finally she just said, not only she goes, we're not doing this anymore, but not only that, it was like she said, I'm not ever going to take the chance of ever having anything like this again.
Wow.
She was in 70, probably 70.
Karen thinks that's funny. Karen had one. Her ex was something else too. What was I gonna say? If you're yelling, but when I was racking my brain going to marriage therapy, like in 2014 or whatever, 2014, what I didn't know was that there was an affair going on. So I'm going to marriage therapy trying to save my marriage. And I remember after it all came out, I was like, I don't think therapy works if you've got a girlfriend. I mean, you can't be present for therapy.
If you're banging somebody else, but how are you going to come here and tell me that?
Ladies, y'all know, like when you find out that you're, especially if y'all been is unfaithful, you're spinning your wheels trying to figure out what's wrong with you and how to, whatever. And then I came to the conclusion, affairs have nothing to do with what you look like. It has nothing to do with race. It has all of that is secondary to what you're looking for, and it's attention, and it's new. It's just strange. Yeah, it was awful. It was bad. And
the thing is, I don't want to tell your story.
Well, this is the thing. So when you find out, and it hurts so bad, right? Especially if the person's saying they don't think they want to be with you, but you're like holding on. You can get till you get so you're pain, but all of a sudden you start to climb back up. And when that happens, if he decides to stay, I feel like you've got to get it. But when you start climbing up, it's never the same. You don't feel the same. You broke, and then you start to rebuild yourself, and you're like, I'm not going through this again. Yeah. And even if you stay, you're
it's not the same.
No, it's not.
I mean,
it did.
I think people can go astray, and I think with Mandi, and not to get into the details that you've told me about, like his affairs, and is that sometimes people, you said it, they're something that they can't do or they can't have in their marriage, but also how people perceive. I always think that with Mandi, she is the love of my life. And, my queen, and I wouldn't never, harm a hair on her body, but she's also the one that we get down, we do, we get at it. And, when we, make love or whatever it is, some people can't do that they have the whole wife and the
It's like the
reverence,
Elvis thing.
but the dirty stuff they go somewhere else for. And I never, I mean, I think that happens to people. It's like, why can't you, like we always say that, like if,
Isn't it a Madonna complex? Isn't that what they call it when the man, like Elvis did that with Priscilla.
right.
When she had the baby, she became the mother. And that was no longer, someone will know. I think it's the Madonna complex
Yeah.
is what it's called.
So we both agreed that like if our exes, and not just just my
Oh.
last ex, but just in general, you know, people that, you know, have been with us, you know, or whatever, if they were to like see and be like, they take a look and went, all right, I'm gonna head out.
I'm gonna head out. We can't.
Because y'all got that under control. Can't mess with that. It's y'all.
It becomes,
you know,
it's a blessing when it becomes like both. You know what I mean?
That's, yeah. And I think I've always believed that people could,
What's
you know,
that?
they go astray.
What is
I don't
that?
know what that is. Oh, you can buy the super chat or a super sticker.
But didn't it used to be a dollar
It used
sign?
to be a dollar sign. They changed it to that little metal thing.
Maybe because you can't anyway, it looked like a little Olympic gold medal on the bottom corner. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
I think that people go, you know, they either can't, they don't, their partner doesn't want to, and I think it's very important before you settle down for the rest of your life with somebody that you understand what your partner wants in that department. You need to, and it's like, I don't do that, you know, or you don't want to do that, or it's not something you're interested in. It's like, it's a big deal because people go somewhere else and find it.
The other thing I was gonna say, I don't even remember. It was, that's what I was like. Okay, so there was a time
Karen,
when I saw the like the emails and things when it all became clear to me, and the person that I thought he was, and I'm reading the emails, and I went, okay, so what I've been saying that I wish we had, you feel it because I see it right here, and that's okay. It's not me. Go find it.
Yeah.
And that was why when he and I were like decided, you know, whatever, like I said, it was 9 days from the time we met to the time I
Talking
said,
about us,
it's done.
Yeah.
And I said, what you found in those emails, we've tried to make it work. You know, we don't really love each other. And I said, you feel that. I feel that. With him.
You said he understood that. He broke it down that way.
That's everything.
I mean, like when you were describing, like when he was trying to get you to stay, and that, you know, we just need time, or, you know, we can do this. But when you told it to him that way, he was like, oh, you know, and he was actually pretty cordial to me after that.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
especially when I said, let me ask you this. Are you more, because you're like, is it because you love me and want it to work, or is it because you don't want to lose, or admit that you know we fail? And he went,
hey Presley,
probably it might be. He said, yeah. I wanted to prove to everybody that even though we got married young and whatever and this and that they, you know, because I'm like, we keep adding years. We're up to 21. How long do we keep adding them under this facade of happiness?
You had a very good measuring.
Hey Presley, hey Gustav.
Measuring point for you was like, what the kids weren't out of high school. They weren't on in their lives, you know, doing what they needed to do outside the home, and that was a big thing for you. I said to Mandi, like, if we had met 10 years ago, you know, well, and you bring up a good point. You were in the throes of alcoholism at the time as well, but I said, I don't know what we would have become of us, because she is a good mother, even with everything she's been through, that she's done to herself to self-destruct. She was a good mother throughout. I mean, regardless of what she may think. So it might not, I mean, our timing was kind of perfect. It was kind of good.
Well, you think that, you think that when, and I kind of knew it was going to happen because we'd had all this happen 5 years before my last one graduated and went off to the Army. So then the last one, you know, graduates, goes off to the Army, and it's very quiet in a house when you're not connected. When that love and connection is completely gone, and the last one leaves, and you sit there and it's like crickets. That's
it's
the time
supposed to be the time of your
Right.
life where you start to
You start-
live for yourself,
yes.
you know, and travel
Yep.
and
You start
Yep.
antiquing or whatever you're into. You know what I mean?
serendipity. Yep.
Yes. And so
Yeah, that's what that lovely Lisa says. What we have is serendipity because
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about our journey, you know, and everything we've been through, my career, and you know, I'm a firm believer that everybody is brought into your life for a reason.
yeah.
Even you know, Trisha, I was, you know, and I've said another thing is when you finally meet the person, and you feel happy and centered and loved and fulfilled, it makes you forgive the other person.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
it makes you like, you know, if we weren't in this ongoing YouTube fuckery back and forth with her and she would just leave us alone, I'm not mad, you know, because it wasn't such a waste of time.
Right.
And it wasn't such a headache, because I have what I'm supposed to have now. And I was in that placeholder. I was in that place until I came to this place.
Right.
And it makes, you know, like when I think of what a colossal waste of time. But, you know, I tried to say it wasn't a waste of time because I was meant to be there and learn whatever I was supposed to learn, to get here, to be here for her, to be hers. That's kind of how I think of.
We have to take the journey that we take in order to get to where we're at. Everything builds on everything, and it's hard to accept that when you know you had such a. I mean, I had my own situation, but it wasn't quite, I don't think, as unpleasant as yours.
Well,
no, and I don't mean that to be
I mean, I couldn't imagine, first of all, I wasn't married, you know, for as long as you were and then find out everything you found out.
Yeah.
It's a different journey for sure. Mine was a constant struggle, but I think what I learned through all that was humility.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to be, I've been in places where I just believed that it wasn't for me. Love and happiness and completeness, and that just wasn't for me. That just wasn't what was in store for me. And that's how I was, you know. And I had to go through all that to learn the humility, to learn to be demasculated, to have your self-esteem ripped away, to
daily,
you know, just to be where I was at for when Mandi picked me up and dusted me off and said, you are all of that, and kind of taught me, you know, without a whole bunch of other preconceived notions that I thought of myself, you know. So I mean, I'm a pretty optimistic person, basically.
Yeah.
You know,
you're right. Presley says 12-step program, even when you're separated or divorced. I worked the steps before I went through what I went with my ex, and then I've worked the steps after. You're right. It's a whole different. Everybody should have a 12-step program. Who can't benefit from cleaning house, making some apologies, finding a higher power, believing it's getting centered in the morning. I mean, everyone could benefit from that.
I mean, I think that one of the things that I do connect with the 12-step program is I think it is very, very imperative that you realize and find and look at something that is stronger than you.
Yeah.
Like you know, it's
something
I'm
that's
not a
not
real religious
yourself.
man,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not, you know, but I think it's very crucial that you have something that keeps you humble and that you know, is greater than you, and so I guess with yours, like I mean, that's the first step, right? You gotta just
to admit you were powerless over alcohol, you had to admit that you were powerless over this shitstorm.
Right.
That she was. There's nothing you can do to love her enough to change her.
Right.
There's no amount of love. There's no amount of wonderful sex. Nothing is going to satiate that. It's out of your control.
And when I had gotten to that point, but what it was is like I didn't want to feel the way I felt about myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel like that. I didn't want to be in this place. I didn't want to be the other half of something that just really kind of didn't know how to love me, or didn't know, it just, and I just believed, once I accepted the fact that you don't get, some people, they're just not gonna have a lot of money. Some people just aren't gonna have kids. They just, people have to understand in their lives that they don't get some of the things that they think that when they were growing up, that they will find and that they get to have. That's how I was with, like a happy marriage.
Those are for you. That's what I find most intriguing. Like since, about exes, when she says that he's controlling how these people feel, that he's playing victim, that he's, people watched exactly what happened on that screen. Mm-hmm. Nobody was in your house except this. They watched it. Yeah. They watched it. So, it's not about being a victim. He has readily admitted that a lot of that toxicity he was a
that was part of being the other half is I'm going to walk with you through this. I'm not going to let you do it by yourself. And, and I was, shunned for it. But then finally I was like, I'm not anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it. And however I got to get through to the other side of this, I will. And
she won't find another Sean. And I hate to be like I'm not saying he's perfect or whatever. She's not going to find someone that's going to love unconditionally, be like, you're a mess, but that's okay. We'll you can't love someone well. You just can't. You can't love someone well. And that blindness, I'm going to take the beating and I'm going to stay with you forever. You're not going to find it again, especially not in a 45, 50-year-old. They've had their laps. They know what crazy looks like. They know what unhealthy looks like. They know what toxic looks like. Or it's going to be someone that's pretty bad to be in a relationship with.
And there were so many people that were on the fringes that that had been in my shoes, or support groups or whatever. And every once in a while I cross paths with one, and they'd be like, when you're ready. And it's different from like, like drug addiction or whatever, where it doesn't kill you the same way.
You said though that a codependent relationship, toxic relationship, is every bit as addicting as a chemical.
A trauma bond is addicting because it's like one of those things. Like, and you guys watched it with me, right? Like whenever we would fight, or I would leave or get thrown out or whatever, and I'm in a different spot. It's like I was so bonded to the trauma and addicted to the trauma that and at first it's like screw this, I'm gonna blah blah blah, and you go through that stage. But then after a while, you don't know how to live. Mm-hmm. And it's like going back to the drug. Karen. It's like, if I just go and I go back to this and I get my fix, it'll make me feel good for now. Yeah. It'll be okay for now. And then it'll be bad later. That's how it is with the drug. But for right now, if I just get a little bit of that back, I'll feel better.
But the love bombing altogether, the last few times you said there wasn't any love bombing. It was just going back.
The cycle was more quick. Like when you look at a narcissistic cycle, it's slow at first. Like it's a longer love bombing, and it's a slow decline, and it's a slow discard, and then it starts getting faster. Then the cycle starts going faster and faster and faster.
Presley said, a person goes through extremes. When there's a breakup, you feel lost, abandoned, you're hurt. But that's when the 12 steps can help you heal and find your serenity to move on. My ex, he's in Al-Anon. That was one of the things I made him become a part of when we were still together. In Al-Anon, he worked even after, through the divorce, he had he had all of this, and it was his to work on. But it helped. You know what I mean? Like, it helped. I'm a big advocate of Al-Anon, because even if it's not your spouse or your parent, everyone has, not everyone, but it can help you, in any toxic sort of heal or whatever. Yes, Trash Panda. And then some of those are for you. Karen has got to go chase the chickens out of the garden. I saw that. Tiny went to bed exceptionally early this morning.
You better save those beans, Karen.
He went to bed exceptionally early this evening. I think it was because of the neighbors having a party.
Yeah, I mean, this girl's journey, the trauma bond is crazy. And if you start to throw in like a drug addiction in with it, and like tramadol for me, or her drinking or whatever, it gets really crazy, and you just want it to go away. You just want, and it's a bond. It's got you, and you just want to go away. And the quickest and easiest way is to go back.
Yeah.
And just go back, because then you'll get love bomb a little bit, and that feels good when you've been hurting. But it'll just be bad later. Drug addict knows they don't want to live this way, but they know when they get so sick, if they just take the drug, take a little bit of that, they'll feel better. They'll and then the pain will go away, and they'll just deal with it the next time it gets bad.
Trash Panda, it's at Mrs. H. If you want to send me the picture, I think you're on
Hey,
Twitter.
Sarah Smiles.
It's at MISSUSATX. There's also my email. I have an email address. It's Mandi Curley with an I at Gmail.
Mandi Curley.
Tell
them how you finally...
Presley lit. But here we have Hoghead too, who will not move on. She disruptive, crazy lies. She thinks it's right and goes psycho crazy, telling her newbies to lie. But we know her. Yeah, they know.
I mean,
and this is what this is
just
the thing
realize too, she's still in that world. She'll try to pull people in, and most of y'all, the majority of y'all, put up with it as long as you can put up with it, and you're not bonded to it. So I'm done with this or whatever. But I think when I think about what Seabreeze going back and forth, she must bonded somehow.
Yeah,
bonded somehow to go back. To that.
Part of the reason there was some straying started on his part was when I got sober. I was no longer the drunken, sick spouse that needed to be cared for. And I don't mean physically cared, like held to your head while you puked or whatever, although I'm sure that happened. But just I call it Captain Save-A-Ho. It's like, it has nothing to do with him being a captain. But I always just say, like, Captain Save-A-Ho. My son has a predisposition to kind of want to save a hoe.
He does.
And Sean has it. And then, so I remember saying something very telling, because then after, I was sober off alcohol, then we went through that chaotic mess with all of the whatever. And then I got sober off opioids. And I said, I'll do many things. I won't stay sick for you. And I think that was when things clicked. Like, well, that's my job.
Of it. It was
it's either a partnership. We walk beside each other, or there's nothing. And he wanted to save somebody. He Sean has started saving animals instead of women.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
His parents think that's hilarious when I say that. Right.
I make some bad.
I'm like, we can save dogs and chickens and birds and all kinds of things.
Amanda Anderson says, yep, I'm in recovery from pain pill addiction, living hell.
It is.
You want off the roller coaster. I love working the 12 steps, helps to keep me accountable and checking my inventory.
The best feeling after you've been in that hell of the next dose and this and that is, for me, it was I walked out of rehab after you walk out, and all of a sudden you're not dependent on your next dose or how many you've already taken
or
where you're going to get it. And the post-acute withdrawals are pretty, they're gnarly. There's some, but they're not as bad as the acute. But just knowing that you're no longer trying to get an early refill, and you're not trying to, it is the most liberating. Like when you finally got off tramadol.
Yeah.
Very liberating. Not to have to go, okay, well, if I go out of town for 3 days, I'm going to need to have, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But
there's a song that we both like from Coldplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Fix You. If you guys know that song, when you get a chance to listen to it.
Very good.
It's it's pretty, it's amazing, but it's fitting that Mandi and I both like that song. For very, very different reasons. Because we have, way different musical tastes. I was just telling somebody at work, they brought Pandora into work. We were listening to, country music and this and that. And I was singing along with some of the songs, Kenny Chesney and this and that. And they were like, oh, you're country fan, huh? And I was like, not really. My wife is from Texas, and she's a country fan. George Strait, country fan, and everything. And when you get in our cars, got the country station. I've switched it back to 97.1 The River. Sometimes it's classic rock. If you're from Atlanta, and you know that. 96 rock when I was growing up, but 106.1, it's country music. And I was always the, classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and also hip hop, old hip hop. But everyone, we both love that Coldplay song. And it's,
I do like that a lot.
Yep.
Um,
You guys know that one? Any Coldplay fans? The song "Fix You." It's a good one.
I wish that they weren't as strict about music that you use for like channel intros and stuff. Ooh, because there's a few that I would love to use, but they won't let you do it.
Well, I always thought, like, if I brought my channel back and I did live streams, like, people,
Yes,
you
Presley.
can play whatever music you want to play. You just can't have it in the replay. You know that, right? Like,
I guess, but if it's I forgot the glasses over there and I can't see.
Where
Presley's
are
on point. I'm gonna go get him.
I'll get them for you. Where are they?
No, I just literally had them over there. I would have to tell you exactly where they are, and I don't know. Somewhere between here and there.
How many of you guys lose your phone like 15 times a day, like all the time?
I do.
Mandy is always like, I don't know where my phone is, all the time.
Anybody that's ever
And
been...
and the thing is she watches YouTube and she's on it all the time, and it's like, I don't know where my phone is, and I get right up and normally find it for her within like 10 seconds. It's just
the thing. Anybody that's ever been like impatient for anything, like I pinned it. Presley's hubby had a good day.
That's good, Presley. That is good.
Been impatient for either for rehab or anything. You learn how to be. You can't have your phone, and now I know they're a little more lax. I've heard, but this is the funny thing. TRICARE has requirements for the parameters of inpatient. One of them is that you cannot have access to your phone. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Once you walk out, you realize you're so liberated from. You don't even want to turn it back on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
you're going to turn it on and you're going to have like depending on what circumstance you went in, you're going to have a mess of texts of people going,
where are
you?
Or
you know what I mean?
Or where's my money? Or
the last time I went inpatient, that was like hybrid. It was pretty much just for mental health. A little bit of like benzo stuff, but I texted like my sister, everybody, and I said, I'm going to go get help. Finished texting it, turned the phone off, set it on the dresser, and that was it. And I didn't want to turn it back on after I got finished or whatever. You know what I mean?
I do.
I didn't.
I mean, the times I've been impatient twice, that neither of them were for substance abuse. They were both for mental health, post-traumatic stress.
But one time you said you don't even know for sure you needed to go in, but you were told that you needed to go in.
Yeah, that's kind of true. But I got something.
You did get something.
I did. I mean, the first couple of days I was there, this is the second time, I was really angry and I told everyone to F off, and they just let you be.
Yeah.
They'll leave you in your room. Their insurance is paying. So if you want to sit there and just be miserable, and they let you do that for about 3 days. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, well, if you're going to take up a bed space, you can hit the road.
Yeah.
But for the first 2 or 3 days, they'll let you sit right in that room. Like, you'll sit there. Well, why'd you come here? You came here voluntarily. Okay, so you weren't committed here. You weren't court ordered here. You came here. Why are you here? And then it took me about 3 days
to get
to freaking say, and it was 3 days of being out of my world, and being, having to concentrate on the things that I was supposed to concentrate on that I didn't need to concentrate on.
Yeah.
But
you got tools between both of them. It's a little bit different when you're in for substance abuse, depending on what your insurance is, because you have to go to groups with TRICARE. If you miss too many of them, because they give updates. I didn't know that to the insurance, like how you're progressing.
Yeah, if you're just sitting there eating sandwiches and
they're
like, well, we're not going to pay we're not going to pay the $300 a day or whatever it costs if you're just going to.
They won't. So yeah, I learned something every time, but I don't think I want to have my card stamped again in there. I would say because I went back to back several times in 2016. within a few months. And
What was I doing in 2016? 2016 is when I got the condo.
oh,
So
is that when
really,
you got it?
so you really came out of rehab that last time and straight into the YouTube community, kind of.
I did.
Yeah.
It started because I was watching makeup tutorials when I came out. So I was watching makeup tutorials, and then Amy Slayton had the
Yeah.
power of makeup because she did the thing, and it was a success because it was like Nikki Tutorials meets the trailer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Which recommended who was talking about Amy Slayton, which was Katie, so that's how you are OG. If you started in those grassroots days of Amy Slayton and the Beast and Katie, and we were even talking about Sarah Burchett today.
Yeah, y'all remember Sarah Burchett?
She was OG.
Yeah, she was we were buddies, her and her family,
and
for a little while.
I do from time to time, I'm not going to give any names, I get DMs from people who are like, hey, I'm so-and-so, I watch you guys, and it's blast from the past, and I'm like, really? Yeah. And then some of them are like, I still don't like you, but I just wanted to let you know.
But the thing about it is they like, a couple of them are like, you guys are both like drama people. Look at Sean, look what he's doing. And we're not really wanting to watch that anymore. But we're cool watching y'all, you know, because it's nice.
Motown.
It's nice when that happens.
Yeah, Sarah says it's crazy watching the Beast try and shame y'all, but she doesn't seem to realize that y'all hold yourselves accountable and are in a healthy mindset. She's stuck in her batshit crazy. Yeah, when I would nod off after taking too many opioids, it wasn't my husband's fault. It was still my fault for sticking him in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like that. There's no one to blame for my addiction except myself. Nothing. I can blame the death of my there's so many things, but when you free yourself from blaming who caused it.
That's right.
I caused it.
And for me, it's like
Presley's talking about music. You'll have to catch up after
that's going back to what I said about, you know, meeting Mandi and just having my soul fulfilled. It makes me stop blaming other people for all the decisions that I made. It doesn't do any good. And it helps you forgive them for the shit that they did to you.
Yeah. I mean, when you owned all your shit, you and your dad had that conversation, and it was 2 hours maybe about that.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, I mean, you owned it.
Yeah,
He owned it. Bob Dylan. So Presley was at Woodstock. Did you take your tatas out, Presley? Did you get wild? I heard it was quite the ride.
She was at Woodstock.
We all fell down the rabbit hole in Bunny Rabbit. Oh God, yes.
See that particular name.
She was an OG. Well, like it or not, she was
but
OG.
before, like I was friends with her and was DMing and chatting with her as a friend up until the moment she found out I was with her. She was one of those. I mean, I was living in Cincinnati.
David, woo.
I was living in Cincinnati, and I was friends with that one.
There's a few people who don't like me.
And it was like, you deserve happiness,
and
this and that. And I said, well, I'm with Mrs. ATX. And they were like, oh, that bitch.
Hey.
Bye.
And I sit at night, Sean, and I go, God, I wish, and I start naming people that I wish liked me.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
I when people say like, you know, I haven't forgotten Mama Ricky Levin, but when he was like, I haven't forgotten what she did, I'm like, look, I did a lot of fucked up stuff. You're gonna have to catch me up because I don't remember what it is. And then I found out, but it's a different world now. We can have fun and jump on and do drama, but we can turn it off. And I guess you couldn't turn it off because you were always on camera.
Always. 2016, so.
And you see, he loves to be live. He loves to, if it's, he just doesn't want his whole life exposed.
So it was August 2016.
Yes.
August 2016 is when I got the condo.
Don't trash Panda. You got to be joking about losing sleep over it. I hope you are.
I think she is.
I hope so.
So August 2016.
Presley loves to help in any way she can.
That was about the time you came out, August of 2016.
Yeah.
Right? And that was when
my sobriety date's September the 16th, 2016.
Yep. It was we got separated, and then we got back together for good when I got the condo. And it's all about what I could do. to, you know, what was I going to do to make our relationship better?
And to
And I
find
did
out,
everything.
you would move everything. It's like, okay, you
Yep.
want to move in, go get
She
our
would
stuff.
leave. She would leave
It's-
wherever we were at, and she would. Well, here's where we're going to go live. She'd go live there, set up
she'd be
shop
like, if
there,
you want in-
and I would move everything to. You know, it was. Yeah, it was.
There'll
it
never
was
be
insanity.
another Sean. Like him,
Insanity.
hate him, whatever. There will never be another Sean that's willing to do that. No, you're good. I was just making sure you were joking because I was like, really? Yeah, no, it's been a partnership since the beginning. Money has been a partnership when we decided to be together. It was all a partnership. Remember when you drove the shit out of your Mustang's tires?
Oh
Going
yeah,
back and
we'll
forth
have to
and
tell
back
that
and forth
story
and
because
back and
I was
forth.
going back and forth and not paying attention to the tires, and I got.
What was it that it blew
left.
out?
I left Austin. I think it wasn't the last time I drove
good. You
back
went-
and forth, but with the Mustang.
Good. Press. It'll get better.
I left Austin and I was heading back to Georgia, and I stopped and I was halfway home. I was in like Vicksburg, Mississippi, and my back tire went flat. So I got some Fix-A-Flat, you know,
Fix-A-Flat, haha.
That tire was fine. So I said I'm going to put the Fix-A-Flat in, and I'm going to set it in the parking lot at the hotel I stayed at, and the next morning, I'll take it to a tire spot. Well, you know, when you wake up the next morning, you go out there and it's not flat again. You're like, I'm just going to roll it. I'm just going to get in the car and drive this last 500 miles. So I went and I tested it out and in the parking lot, and I went and I turned the wheel was turned all the way to the right. In the back tires, I was concentrating on, but when the wheel was turned, I looked in the front tires, the wires were sticking out on both of them. And I don't know how many miles I had put on that car.
Going back and forth.
With them like that. They were pretty bad. And I changed all the tires right there in Vicksburg. I found a tire place, and I changed all 4 tires right there. And that's the last time I changed those tires because
it was crazy. Yeah.
I traded that car, and that was in like June or July. Yeah, no, you'd already been. So it was about August. It was right before we got our place. It was the last time I left in that car. And then I traded it in November.
Yes.
In November, I traded it in and got the truck.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And this girl's journey says that's another thing about the 12-step. You stop caring what other people think. That's true. I didn't realize, I guess, I didn't connect when that change was made. But you're right, because I really don't care. I don't. I guess a little bit if it's a family member, but even then I've got to take my responsibility for whatever, and then the rest is up to them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think that with Mandi, sometimes if she's in a certain spot,
yes,
she can get her feelings hurt or she can get offended by something, but she gets over it. I mean, it's like
when I went off on the there was an electrical guy who took off and kind of got in front of me on the highway, and I was, upset, and I was like, what are you doing, whatever. And then I felt so bad because he was just trying to do a job. He tried to accelerate. He couldn't help that people were going 80 down the, and I went to try to find him to make amends. But because I remembered what the truck looked like, I remembered about where he was at. But he was gone. But I was going to be like, look, it's not you, it's me. It's always me.
And you know what? It doesn't do any good to really do that because 9 times out of 10, they don't even notice you're over there acting crazy. They don't even know.
Yeah, that's Sarah Smiles. I really only care about others' opinions if they're people I love or really care about. Anyone else, I could care less what they think about me. Yeah, I mean, I can only, but yeah, every time it's always me. And they drill that into you that it's when people when people are like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, then my reaction's always like, well, you can't hurt my feelings. You can't decide how I feel. So you don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
What do you got to say?
If you think you hurt your feelings, you deal with that. You deal with how that makes you feel.
When they lead with that or whatever, I'm like, well, that's the cool. Just tell me what you want to say because you don't have to control how I feel.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have that control.
I might tell you to F straight off.
What I always finish people's sentence when they go, you're going to hate me for saying this, and I'm going, but you're going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
You're not going to like this, but you're going to say it anyway.
Remember that?
Why are you going to say something that I'm going to hate you for?
Remember that one time I said one of the more annoying things that you do, because I didn't know how to like word it, and
It was fairly devastating to hear that.
But then you kind of laughed.
Yeah.
But what was it about?
It was about me. It was
Presley, thank you.
Thank you,
I
Presley.
just saw it. Thank you so much. You've got so much going on.
It was
Sean's
about
birthday present.
It was about
From you.
me. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow. It was
awesome.
about how I always leave the door open when I get out. Like if she's in
Thank you,
especially
Presley.
when it's cold. So like when say Mandy and I are driving in the
yes.
car. See, when I would
was when you would
DoorDash,
DoorDash.
when I would DoorDash, she would go with me sometimes. You know, before I started working where I work, and so it was winter. It was cold,
And
I would I would go to the next day. I'd get the food, and I'd go there, and I'd open the door, and I would leave it open, and
Yeah.
Mandy would be in there. And the reason I got in the habit of leaving it open, thank you, Amanda, was because sometimes I'd be by myself, and I'm always paranoid if I shut the door,
that it's gonna lock.
gonna
Yeah.
lock or whatever. So I always would just leave the door open. Or another thing I would do is if I was going somewhere, I would roll a window down. You didn't notice that.
Oh,
And I'd
no.
roll the window down and leave it. But so she's freezing. I'm running back and forth, staying warm, delivering food. She's riding shotgun, freezing because I'm leaving the door open.
And then he would also do it with the air condition.
Oh yeah. Oh, when I mess with
Yeah,
it,
like
just
he'll go,
give it 10
but
seconds.
he's
It's
still-
gonna come on.
No. Like when we go to the store or whatever, and we would not anymore. You don't do it but we would go and you would go to take the cart back, but you leave your door open. Like I'd start it.
Oh yeah.
He's so chivalrous. Like he always gives me the keys, and he was like,
ahead
get
and
the
get in
car and
there,
start it.
yeah.
And I'm always like, no, I can. And he's like, no, do it. And I finally started. Like
Yeah.
used to, I was like, no, I'm gonna help you. And now I'm like, well, shit.
I'm like, get the car. Here's my
Yeah.
wallet. Here's the car keys. Just go and start the car up and get the heater
Okay,
started.
Panda,
Or,
send me at least send me your phone number in a DM. Go ahead.
or just get in the. You can go ahead and get in the car and start the AC. And by the time I got everything loaded up, it'll be nice and cool in there, and we
I've
can go.
never understood how some people have to make their opinion heard no matter the cost. I couldn't imagine needing attention or needing my views. Okay, yeah, and when sometimes people will flat out ask me like political views or religious views or pro-life, pro-choice views, and I'm always like, that's not something I'm going to share with you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because I don't have an opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that simple. If it doesn't apply to me, if it's not in my lane, I'm not going to worry about it.
They're the people that say you're always going to know what I feel.
I see what you're saying. Okay,
You're always going to know where I feel. You're always going to know where I stand, and that's not always good. I mean, if it's fine, but sometimes it's not going to help a situation to give some opinion that you have.
Yeah, I'll type it in here. Hold on. If I can, Sean's phone. He still won't. We can't go get it. Well, I want it bigger.
You can do it that way.
Yeah, but you're gonna take the other one when I get the one with more storage, because I got like 10,000 screenshots.
She does.
But not right now. I don't think we're going to do it right now, even though I prepared you that it would be done. There you go.
Well,
The other thing, yeah, that's my email. We have one together, but the only thing that ever comes to it is YouTube emails, right? To ours.
that one I don't even really the one that you posted is yours. I don't check it. You're talking about the ATX and Tomahawk one.
Do you have it on your phone? Like,
I mean, I can switch to it. I mean, right now
yeah,
it's not my default.
Well, I wasn't gonna give. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's also ATX Tomahawk at Gmail. We've been getting like emails about partnerships.
Yeah.
Like random things. Adam and Eve apparently wants to partner with everybody. I guess because we've talked a little steamy here and there.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve is like,
Well,
would
they
you
know
like
that
to be a partner? And I'm like,
we're the it couple, so
can you imagine if you and I were the Adam and Eve reps? Look
You're
at this right here.
what is this?
This is called the Warrior. Do you see it? It's
I like
3 feet long.
I'm reading it, Presley. Go ahead. She's like, read this, Sean.
And it's like, and then how about the half-eaten Twinkie one? That's one of our personal novelties that we're marketing. I don't even know what a half-eaten Twinkie it is.
Well, what they'd be the Adam and Eve, and I'd be.
I saw
Is this the right way? Is this inside
I saw
out?
it, Panda. I just will read it in just a little bit.
There it is.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Now I'm wondering what Presley's going to say. She's like, read this, Sean.
It might be what she had put.
Oh,
My dear long distance friend, I am sending warm birthday wishes. I wish you each and
See,
every. There you go. Pin
that-
that. Right?
yes.
That's it.
Presley.
Thank you.
It took her to actually. I read this. Okay, I read it. She's like, no,
Because I
dummy,
wouldn't have to
the
wear
last one.
I could take them off if he kept up with that. It's weird, obsessive. Like I'm like always like I want to keep up with it because if you guys take
Thank
the
you,
chance
Presley.
to say it,
I love you,
I want to
Presley.
read it. I don't understand people who don't read.
The only
chat.
fault that Presley has is that she's a Cubs fan, and but that's a baseball.
But she let that go.
That's right.
Presley, when we put our Christmas decorations up this time, I have a couple of ornaments I'm going to send you. One of them is a jukebox that plays Elvis. I want you to have it for sure. And then there was something else that I have. So you'll get a couple more things. And it's just because it's very cool, but I want you to have it. You know? We didn't even find that box of ornaments last year. Because remember, I was like, I have this and I have that and I have this and I have that. Remember?
I do remember. But what I'm doing, Atlanta 5, the Mets 2, Presley. It's in the bottom of the 8th. If the Braves can win this, they'll be tied. And then Saturday and Sunday, we got to win 2 out of 3.
You're hanging tough, huh?
Yeah.
You're doing good. You're super late.
Well, I'm looking at, since I don't have to get up, the Washington UCLA game comes on at 10:30. And so there was this thing when we lived in Texas. We were talking about, we can touch on that in the next stream, how, we spent the first 6 or 7 months in that apartment and really didn't work, didn't really have to.
COVID was a thing.
And we just hung out. The first,
in
you'll
bed.
never take,
that did happen, but
remember when we first did our channel and everyone was kind of home,
okay,
so y'all were
good
down
night.
for it. And go Braves go.
We had to we discarded more than one comforter.
It is really, though it was COVID, it was this kind of.
We had to. I mean, we won't even go into why, but
we talk about a highlight of our relationship so far is that time we had together.
Just finding out everything about each other.
One of the things, it was the first, but the winter before COVID, that fall before COVID, when we were hanging out, when we first started the channel, football would come on. And it was just into the night. I would watch football, and with her just on my shoulder.
Is that when they played with nobody in the stands?
No, that was the season before.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And, we had just started our channel.
She's been watching the game,
and we were YouTubing, and it was like, I need to go get a job. Wow, we'll do it next week. And then
and then you would work third shifts, and we would do it after he worked a third.
Yeah.
COVID was horrible. There's no two ways about it. It was horrible. But there's a lot of people that when someone says you stay inside to take care of yourself, I feel my heart goes out to people that are, alone. Anyway, it was a cool time. Look, Lace with Lacey says, he missed it.
No, I'm going to it.
5 to 1.
5-1. Oh, it's 5-2. 5-2. Braves have hit 3 homers.
I haven't seen Laced with Lacey forever. Hold on.
Let me go live chat.
Oh my gosh. I saw, but I was gonna read it. What did Rebel T say when they came in earlier? Did they mean to type something in a different chat? Why did they retract it and not say anything else? I'm curious to know what Rebel T said. What'd they say?
I don't. Neighbors.
I think they were supposed to be typing somewhere else, and they accidentally typed in here.
They were lurking, but they like us.
No, they don't like us, nor like us.
But we need to go, baby.
Okay. Sean, you seem like a gentleman. I'm so glad y'all are happy. You deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like we said, regardless of how y'all feel about me, y'all watched what he went through. And so when she's like, oh, he's such a victim. No, he's many things. He's not a victim. But you watched it.
Thank you, Lacey. I appreciate that. I mean, it's I always say that the YouTube dynamic is part of this because I met her here. When
people say, how'd you meet YouTube? They're like, how does that happen?
It's right.
Mary Brown is always live.
And, Cody it's y'all are part of it. Y'all are part of it. So.
Yeah, they're always like.
But there's only 23 of you left here. So we're, they're all
I know
when
I see it going down a little bit, I'm like, oh no. Are people getting, but then I've learned that they're not. So we are going to go to bed though. I have cramps.
We might have to get it in.
Stop. Love you guys. Y'all have a good
See ya.
day.
Have a good night.
Bye.